Hey everyone! It's been about a week since I last worked on my big game, Poacher Cat. There's a video and some shorts about it on the channel. And I still do nothing, because the SSD in my Mac Mini died. So, while I am waiting for the repair to be finished, I am forced to use my 8 years old setup. Here it is, my old laptop. It has 8 GB of RAM, and doing Unity development on it is basically impossible. If you are watching this video right now, that means my computer didn't catch fire during video editing. But instead of just sitting around doing nothing, I decided to make something small and less demanding today. I want to see who is better at developing 2D roguelike games, ClaudeAI or ChatGPT. The rules are simple. I give both neural networks the exact same minimal prompt and give them as much creative freedom as possible. Then I make a couple of small, non-serious corrections just to make the game playable. And finally, I compare which one managed to create the better roguelike. I'm not going to use any specialized servers, plugins, or Godot specific skills. I will also prepare a small set of sprites in advance and give the same assets to each AI, letting them use it however they want. I decided to start with Claude. For convenience, I installed the Claude code CLI. I entered the prompt, Claude gave me a detailed plan, and I didn't change anything in it. After about 15 minutes, including the time I wasted by forgetting to approve some changes, I got this game. Yeah, the first attempt is always a flop. But after a couple of correction prompts, Claude fixed the sprite sizes and added some basic informations. I didn't force it to change anything else. So, in this game we have a main menu, procedurally generated levels, weapons with different damage and attack speed, and enemies with different, also pretty dumb behavior. For the locations, Claude only used stone and stone bricks textures. It completely ignored lava, water, and crates. By the way, during testing I didn't even realize at first that skeletons had a ranged attack. None of the other models came up with that. You also can only hold one weapon at a time, and the rest are scattered around the map. Overall, I think the game turned out pretty decent. At this stage, it's actually fun enough to mess around with for about 10 minutes. The gameplay is fast and not stressful, but the monsters are definitely not balanced. The ranged skeleton is absolutely broken. And now, let's move on to ChatGPT. Unfortunately, this AI doesn't have a CLI, so I used it directly in the browser. Unlike Claude, ChatGPT came up with a name for the game and even added a project icon. But I couldn't launch the game on the first try, and on the second try too. After fixing the errors, I also asked it to add attack animations, and in the end we got this. This version uses all the textures, but the colliders are placed in a pretty weird way. The enemies behave more stupidly, and they do almost not differ from each other. The melee attacks have a really unclear direction. Honestly, I think the attack is circular. But on the plus side, we have slowing down in water, damage from lava, 5 weapon slots, and boxes with loot. And only ChatGPT thought of adding HP regeneration. That's a big plus. The level generation is a bit raw though. Sometimes a wall doesn't appear and the character can just walk off into the void. Also, the level exit can sometimes be blocked by lava. Overall, the ChatGPT version has more interesting mechanics, but from a gameplay perspective, it falls a bit short compared to ClaudeAI's version. And at this point, it seemed like it was time to wrap things up and call it a draw. But then I noticed something. I had used Claude Sonnet, which is a weaker version of Claude. So, show must go on, and I am sending the exact same prompt to Claude Opus. This version also used all the textures. It added slowing in water, lava damage, including damage to enemies, and with each level the number of enemies increases. So, at least the game does get harder as you move forward. The monsters have noticeable differences in movement, health, and attacks. As for the downsides, I'd say the texture's placement is a bit strange, and the balance gets completely out of control the further you progress. But I really like the gameplay because right from the start, monsters rush toward you and you immediately start throwing them around. It feels chaotic, fast, and honestly pretty fun. So, to sum it up, all three models did a pretty good job. Of course, all of these games still need a lot of development and improvement. But to me, the most promising version was made by Claude Opus. It somehow managed to create the most engine and fun gameplay. Even so, its animations were worse than, for example, Sonnet's version. And which game did you like the most? Leave your opinion in the comments. I'd love to read it. Also, let me know if you want me to polish one of these games and release it publicly. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Bye.